with tonight's poems and verses from the Book of Lamentation. Welcome, let me say it again. If you scan the QR code with your devices, you'll be directed to a page with the event description, and on that page at the very top is a link directing you to download the PDF with tonight's readings. Sorry, that was me. I think I just... Also, all of our verses, all of our poetry will be projected on the screen, so you don't have to depend on the PDF from your device, but it is an option. Ya na 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 na, ya na ya na ya ya na na, ya na 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 ya ya na na ya, ya na na ya na na, ya na ya na ya ya na na, ya na na ya ya. Please join us. Ya na 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 na, ya na ya na ya na na, ya na na na. Na 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 na
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us for this Tisha B'Av service, in which we mourn so many disasters that have befallen the Jewish people. Thank you to Cantor Porat for organizing this service so beautifully, and to all of our wonderful clergy colleagues for joining us here to lead this service. In my lifetime, I cannot remember a Tisha B'Av where there has been so much to mourn as this one. Though October 7th didn't happen on this dark day, today we mark 311 days of hostages suffering in Gaza, 10 months of war in Israel, loss of innocent lives, thousands of people displaced from their homes, and a fearsome rise in anti-Semitism here and around the world. As we open our service tonight, I want to share this parable with you from the Talmud that reminds us that even in our darkest times, such as this one, there is always, always a reason to hope. The story is found at the end of Tractate Makot. The Talmud describes a scene in which the rabbis are ascending to Jerusalem in the wake of the temple's destruction, and they arrive at Mount Scopus, which overlooks the city, and they're overcome there with grief, and they tear their clothing in mourning. And then they proceed further to the Temple Mount, and when they get to the Temple Mount, they see a fox scampering out of the Holy of Holies. And 3 of the rabbis begin to wail, and one begins to laugh. Rabbi Akiva. "Why are you laughing?" the 3 cry out to him. "Why are you crying?" he asked them back. The 3 rabbis explain the obvious reason for their tears, and then Rabbi Akiva explains his laughter. You see, he's reminded from this verse from the prophet Isaiah, in which the prophet calls on 2 witnesses, Uriah and Zechariah. Uriah lived at the time of the first temple, and he offered a prophecy of doom and destruction. But Zechariah, who lived at the time of the second temple, offered a prophecy of hope, saying, "There shall yet be old men and women in the squares of Jerusalem, and the streets of the city shall be crowded with boys and girls at play." Akiva believed that if Uriah's prophecy of destruction had come to pass, then surely Zechariah's prophecy of hope would soon follow. Zechariah's image of a Jerusalem restored, of an Israel alive with children at play, not on lockdown, is one that keeps me lit up with hope inside. Mount Scopus, the place where the rabbis tore their garments, is the very place that Hebrew University is today, a vibrant place of learning and progress, the place where my husband proposed to me 40 years ago. After the mourning comes hope. Hope for an Israel restored. Hope for peace. Today we mourn, and in coming together, we bring comfort to one another. May we soon have reason to laugh and celebrate, just as Rabbi Akiva did. And may we see each other as symbols of resilience and harbingers of hope and healing. Amen. Rabbi Jacobs.
As we gather here on the solemn evening of Tisha B'Av, we pause to set our intention, to prepare our hearts and minds for the journey we are about to embark upon. This night, we recall the destruction of Jerusalem, the shattering of our sacred center, and the dispersal of our people. It is a time to remember the tragedies that have befallen on our ancestors, to mourn the losses that have shaped our collective history, and to reflect on the pain that still echoes through the generations. But this moment is not just about looking back, it's also about looking within. As we remember the physical destruction of Jerusalem, we must also consider the spiritual and moral foundations of our lives. Where have we allowed division, hatred, and indifference to creep into our own hearts? How have we, in our own ways, contributed to the fragmentation of our community, our relationships, our world? Tonight, as we chant the words of Lamentations and recite the Kinot, let us not only mourn what was lost, but also commit to rebuilding. Let us resolve to be the architects of New Jerusalem. one built on the foundations of love, justice, and peace. May our heart tears of sorrow become the seeds of renewal, and may we emerge from this day with a deeper commitment to tikkun olam, the repair of our world. With this kavanah, we begin Echa, mindful of the past, present, and future. May our prayers rise up like the walls of a new Jerusalem, strong and unbreakable, and may our hearts be filled with hope, even in this time of mourning. Echa yoshva v'aldad, ha'ira bat yam, ha'eta ki almana, rabati v'goyim, sarati b'medinot, ha'eta lamas. B'chotiv ke b'layla, v'dimata alecheya, ela menachem mikol ohaveha, koreha b'gduva, hayula le'oivim, gata Yehuda me'oni u'merov avodah, יושבה בגויים, לא מצא מנוח, כל רודפיה השיגוה בין המצרים. דרכי ציון אבלות, מבלי בהם מועד, כושריה שוממים, כהניה נאנחים. בתולותיה נוגות והימלה.
This passage, "We Are All Mourners," is from Rabbi Eli Konfner. On Tisha B'Av, we're all mourners, and we all join together in the recitation of communal laments. In fact, Echa, the biblical book that we read in synagogue on the holiday that we just heard the beginning of, was originally called Sefer Kinot, a fact that is reflected in its English name, the Book of Lamentations. The purpose of reciting Echa was to arouse one's heart to mourn. According to one rabbinic teaching, we don't need the help today. But apparently Echa wasn't enough. Toward the end of the Talmudic period, poets began writing special pieces for Tisha B'Av. The scholar E. Daniel Goldschmidt claims that originally the poems were added to the middle of the Amidah prayer in the blessing about rebuilding Jerusalem. Sometime later, the poems shifted to later in the service after the special Torah reading for Tisha B'Av. That spot in the service was expansive, and the number of poems grew. Now it's not uncommon for some communities to recite 40 or more Kinot during the Tisha B'Av morning service. And later still, the Kinot's effectiveness and popularity led them to be included in the evening service for Tisha B'Av as well, as they have been today, following the reading of Echa.
Eli Zion verea, kemo isha v'tzireha, מנעי משיר זמריה ואדמם אשר שופח כמו מימי אורך.
In chapter 2 of Lamentations, it is a mournful account of the catastrophic destruction, the horrific destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. Through the voice of Jeremiah, this chapter details the Lord's fierce wrath, the resulting desolation, and the people's profound sorrow and mourning. The chapter emphasizes that the destruction was from the hand of God due to the people's sins. It also highlights the role of false prophets in deceiving the people. The main point is that God himself, God herself, God was responsible for the destruction.
השליך משמיים ארץ תפארת ישראל ולא זכה דום רגליו ביום אפו בילה אדוני ולא חמל את כל נאוב יעקב הרס בעברתו מבצרי בת יהודה הגיע לארץ חילל ממלכה ושריה גדע בחרייו כל קרן ישראל השיב החול ימינו מפני אויב ויבר ביעקב כאש להבה אכלה סביב דרך קשתו כאויב ניצב ימינו כצר ויהרוג כל מחמדי עין באוהל בת ציון שפך כאש חמתו היה אדוני כאויב בילה ישראל בילה כל ארמנותיה שיחת מבצריו וירד בבת יהודה תעניה וענייה
אשכחך ירושלים, אם אשכחך ירושלים, אם אשכחך ירושלים, תשכח ימיני, יעלה ירושלים. ירושלים, 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 ירושלים.
Please join me as we read responsively. We are the people of the desert, vulnerable, wandering amidst the dunes. We are people of the desert, walking through our holy land. Ben-Gurion told us to seize the expanse of openness, but it left us vulnerable, even at our best. Raging chariots of Hamas, this time bulldozing our fences instead. Nothing to stop them but the fruits of our land. Taking advantage of the peaceniks, trusting humanity at hand. So where is our splitting of the sea? Who will be the hero that we need to set us free? When will it be our turn to ask God how a miracle occurred? How can we be sure that our cries will be heard? Will the world stop and listen and not just hear? Or will we just be complicit in our own stratosphere? Busy with questions, no conclusions are clear. We can't stop asking why and how our sorrows will disappear. When we stop in the midst of the desert breeze, we can find our hearts connected, pumping our Jewish blood with ease. We are the people of the desert, wandering through one obstacle at a time. Waiting for the next hill, we're ready to climb.
The destruction is personal. Eicha chapter 3, verses 1 through 5. We are living in unprecedented times. For our brothers and sisters in Israel, the uncertainty is a near constant companion. An attack seems all but inevitable. Everyday conversations have morphed from what should we have for dinner to where is the safest place for us to be at any given moment. Will the Iron Dome be able to protect us? How will Israel survive? These are the questions that are being asked. The destruction is personal. Ani hagever ra'a oni b'shevet evrato. I grew up on stories about Israel, Eretz Yisrael, Medinat Yisrael. My childhood was steeped in Zionism, in the house and in Yudat Sair. I married a fellow Judean. I lived in Israel. I made Aliyah. I served in Golani Special Forces. I have known loss. We have known loss. Oti nahag v'yo'olach choshech v'lo or. This Tisha B'Av feels unlike any other we have experienced. The possibility of an imminent attack is very real. Israel is fighting for her survival and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. When will the darkness be lifted? Ach bi yashuv ya'afoch yado kol hayom. We gather to mourn not only the loss of our holy temple, but also the loss of a sense of security. Prior to October 7th, we were perhaps too confident in peace and stability. We must stand together united. Tonight reminds us of the importance of achdut, of unity. Bila v'sari v'ori shibar atzmotai. This feeling is personal. As a father of 3 children, my wife, 8.5 weeks pregnant with our 4th, we want our children. We want our children, all children, to live in peace and safety, to have a future with endless possibilities, to not have to worry about how far the closest shelter is, to not have to fear an attack, to not have their parents drafted for reserve duty, to know no more loss and pain. Bana alai v'ya'akaf rosh utla'a. We mourn and we cry together. We are here in community. We have hope.
Please join me in the poem Tears Too Close as we pray responsively. These tears are too close to my eyes, ready to burst forth for the sorrow that surrounds us.
These tears are too close to my heart, ready to burst forth for the pain that surrounds us.
These tears are too close to my soul, ready to burst forth for the heartbreak that surrounds us.
Comfort, O comfort my people, says our God.
For God will comfort Zion. Well of compassion, comfort of generations, let us cry together for all that has been lost, for all that might have been.
It is I who comforts you, and great shall be your children's peace.
Yearning, still yearning for solace and consolation, yearning, still yearning with hope and faith, yearning, still yearning for healing to flow more freely than these ripened tears. Rise, shine, for your light has dawned, for mountains may move and hills be shaken, but my kindness shall not be removed from you. And the angel of God delivered them. In love and mercy, God redeemed them.
Eli, Eli, שלא ייגמר לעולם. אלי, אלי, שלא ייגמר לעולם. אלי, אלי, שלא ייגמר לעולם. אלי, אלי, שלא ייגמר לעולם. The sun and the sea,
The rush of the waters,
the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart. Eli, Eli, שלא ייגמר לעולם. אלי, אלי, שלא ייגמר לעולם. אלי, אלי, שלא ייגמר לעולם. אלי, אלי, שלא ייגמר לעולם.
Lamentations chapter 4, verses 1 to 6 further expresses the grief over the destruction of Jerusalem and the suffering of its people by facing the tragedy head on. The passage paints a picture of the once glorious city now reduced to ruins, its precious resources scattered, and its people facing unimaginable hardships. Reminding us of the human cost of war and violence, this chapter doesn't shy away from expressing the pain and sorrow brought on by the tragedy, but it uses it to process and understand the magnitude of the destruction so that healing and hope might be a possibility even in the face of immense sorrow. We read of the tongue of the suckling cleaving to its palate for thirst, and we shudder. Paradoxically, when confronted with such inhumanity, we find ourselves connected with our humanity. We allow ourselves to feel the perplexion, the shock, the anger, sorrow, devastation, a sense of helplessness, and we're reminded not only of the universality of human suffering, but also of the importance of confronting and holding a compassionate space for the full range of feelings that arise in times of tragedy, which can be a potential first step towards healing, towards repairing, towards beginning to see what actions we can take to best serve or help ourselves and others. Echa yuam zahav yishne aketem hatov תשתפך נא אבני קודש בראש כל חוצות בני ציון היקרים המסולאים בפז היכן נחשבו לנבלי חרש מעשה ידי יוצר בני ציון היקרים המסולאים בפז היכן נחשבו לנבלי חרס מעשה ידי יוצר גם תנים חלצו שד העניקו גוריהן בת עמי לאכזר כיענים במדבר. האוכלים למעדנים נשמו בחוצות, האמונים עלי תולה חיבקו אשפתות. ויגדל עוון בת עמי מחטאת סדום, הפוכה כמו רגע ולא חלובה ידיים.
נחמו, נחמו, עמי יאמר אלוהיכם, נחמו, נחמו, עמי יאמר אלוהיכם, Ami Omar Elohechem Nachamu Nachamu Ami Omar Elohechem comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Omar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Omar Elohechem. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Omar Elohechem, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Omar Elohechem.
For weeks I've been bleeding poems. Ani koret lakovet yagon. Mocheket. Koret lo, October. Mishana l'shiv'a. Machalifa l'tihom. Mishana tehomot. Koret lo kishaol. Koret lo tikva. Mora l'machshev sheyizkur, hu oneli shomer et tikva. For weeks I've been bleeding poems. I name the file sorrow. I delete, name it October. Change it to Shiva. Replace it with chasm. Change chasms. Name it hell-like. I name it hope. Command the computer to remember, it responds, saving hope.
Revenge by Taha Muhammad Ali. At times, I wish I could meet in a duel the man who killed my father and raised our home, expelling me into a narrow country. And if he killed me, I'd rest at last. And if I were ready, I would take my revenge. But if it came to light when my rival appeared that he had a mother waiting for him, or a father who had put his right hand over the heart's place in his chest whenever his son was late, even by a quarter hour for a meeting they'd set, then I would not kill him even if I could. Likewise, I would not murder him if it were soon made clear that he had a brother or sisters who loved him and constantly longed to see him, or if he had a wife to greet him and children who couldn't bear his absence and whom his gifts would thrill, or if he had friends or companions, neighbors he knew, or allies from prison or a hospital room, or classmates from his school, asking about him and sending him regards. But if he turned out to be on his own, cut off like a branch from a tree, without a mother or father, with neither a brother or sister, wifeless, without a child, and without kin or neighbors or friends, colleagues or companions, then I'd add not a thing to his pain within that aloneness, not the torment of death, and not the sorrow of passing away. Instead, I'd be content to ignore him when I passed him by on the street, as I convinced myself that paying him no attention in itself was a kind of revenge.
Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shemor, Sherit Yisrael, Shemor, Sherit Yisrael.
Rabbi Siegel, who couldn't be with us tonight, sends us those following words as we're about to hear the verses from the final chapter of the Book of Lamentations. As we listen to these words chanted from Eicha, we recognize the familiar words, Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Take us back, O God, to yourself, and let us come back. Renew our days as of old. We are reminded that no matter how far our people have strayed, God will take us back. It is now upon us as a people to return. Tisha B'Av marks 7 weeks until Rosh Hashanah, giving us these weeks ahead to prepare, both as a nation and as individuals, to come back to our better selves, to come back to community as we are here tonight, and to come back to God.
Ateret Roshenu, Oina Lanu, Ki Chatanu, Al Zeh Haya Daveh Libenu, Al Eile Chashechu Eineinu, Al Har Zion Sheshamim Shualim Hilechu vo Ata Adonai Leolam Teshev kis'acha ledor vador, lama lanetzach tishkachenu, ta'azvenu leorech yamim, hashivenu Adonai elecha, v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem. Ki imaos me'astanu, katzafta alinu ad me'od, hashivenu Adonai elecha, v'nashuva chodesh yameinu kekedem.
Hashivenu v'nashuva v'nashuva chadesh Chadesh, Chadesh, Yamenu kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh, Yamenu kekedem. Chadesh, 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 Yamenu kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh, Yamenu kekedem. Hashivenu ve'ashuva, Hashivenu ve'ashuva, Chadesh, 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 Yamenu kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh, Yamenu kekedem.
Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu kekedem.
This concludes tonight's service. Thank you all for joining us, for being in community with us. Thank you to all of my clergy partners. Thank you to Alan, our musical director. Thank you to Sean. Thank you to Adam, to Jeff, to the entire staff who's worked so hard on making this evening possible. Laila Tov and...
Thank you.